What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Falcon tank. Alright guys, so the random question of the day is an easy one today. It's just simply dogs or cats. Are you a dog person or a cat person? Now, I'm really kind of torn with this one here because growing up I had both dogs and cats, but I'd say in the long run I'm going to be a dog person. You know, there's just nothing like man's best friend. However, my roommate's cat absolutely adores me and she's pretty darn cute, so it's really tough. But with that, I think in the long run I am a dog person through and through. But let me hear from you guys. Just drop your comments right down there. So the HorizonTech-Falcon tank has been around for a while now, but I just really wanted to put these coils through their paces and test them out thoroughly, and I gotta say I'm very pleased with the results. This particular one comes to me care of thecloudyvapor.com. Big shout out and thank you goes to them. But taking a look online, this device is available in 6 different colors. You have red, green, black, stainless, rainbow, and blue, and it's gonna run you about 35 bucks. That's kind of the average price that I get from different websites. There is a resin version available as well, and that's gonna run you about 30 bucks. I'll link to both of those products right down there in the description if you want to get one for yourself. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive down to the close-up view and take a better look at this thing. Alright guys, so as you can see, we've got our Falcon tank in its original box, so let's quickly take a look around the packaging and then talk about what's inside. So first and foremost, yeah, really creative packaging with this one here. Really do like it. Kind of has this like phoenix going on, which doesn't really make much sense because it's called the Falcon. I mean, you know, it's a bird like on fire, so I assume that's like a phoenix. But anyways, Falcon with a nice silver emboss, HorizonTech right there. 5 to 7 mils, as you can see down here, because this is the one with the bubble glass. The other one just says 5 mil. Then you have your coil descriptions on the back here, which are really nice and detailed, and everything has a nice silver emboss to it as well. Some company info and all that good stuff as well, and a little scratch off authentication down at the bottom section. So let's just go ahead and pop this piece off. This is actually stuck on here, so I can do that and it's not going to move, but it's stuck on here with a little double-sided tape or something. But there's your Falcon tank, of course, and we'll take a look at that in just one second. Underneath this little divider section here, we have a little piece of foam. Comes right out, and there is an extra coil normally in that section there. Obviously I have used mine already, but let's just take a look at what else you get with it. You get the straight 5 mil glass, the straight up and down glass rather than the bubble glass. You also get a 510 drip tip, a little plain one, not like the cool little swirly, resiny kind of one that you get on the actual tank itself. This one's just boring and black, but there you go. It also comes with a whole bunch of O-rings and gaskets and all that good stuff, so you can change up the colors a little bit. This is obviously red and the tank is black, so you can have a nice red and black tank if you want that. But yeah, that's what's in the box. Alright guys, let's talk about the specs. First of all, it's 25.2 millimeters in diameter with a threaded top fill system, 2 filling ports with a 7 mil juice capacity with the use of the bubble glass, and 5 mil tank capacity with the standard glass. The F1 coils have 70% cotton and 30% wood pulp. F2 coils have natural flax fibers. F3 coils have a flax fiber and flax paper, and the M1 coils are 70% cotton, 30% wood pulp, and are mesh coils. It has triple bottom air slots measuring 14 millimeters by 3 millimeters each, which are fully closable. It comes with an 11 millimeter bore 510 Delrin drip tip and an 8 millimeter bore 510 resin drip tip, gold-plated 510 connection, and stainless steel and glass construction. Alright guys, let's go over the finer details of the Falcon tank, starting off with the drip tip up top here. This is the 510 resin drip tip, which is really nice and classy looking. You can see the bore right down the middle there with a single O-ring at the bottom. And just for comparison's sake, we have the other one right here, which are, they're both kind of tapered. As you can see, towards the top has a little bit of a taper. And you have the bore right down the middle, which appears to be identical. So there you go. And you can see the bottom as well for both. There you go. So yeah, never had any issues with the O-ring not holding tightly or anything like that. It is a slightly different looking O-ring. It's kind of a flatter one than a standard one, but it works just fine for me. This top cap section comes off with about a quarter turn and exposes the two filling holes at the top section there. It does have sort of a gasket rubber stopper thing in the top to prevent it from leaking. Never had any issues with that. And as you can see, you do get a little bit of juice on this top section, but it's really not that big of a deal because never has leaked out the top or anything like that for me personally. But there you go. Really easy to fill because you have these very generously sized fill holes on either side, which let the air out on one side while you're filling up your tank. One thing to be aware of is not screwing your top cap on properly because this feels snug right now. It feels like it's on nice and securely. However, as you can see, it's a bit askew. You can see the gap right there, and that can cause some major leakage. So just double check your top cap every time you go to put that on. As you can see, the bubble glass sticks out quite a bit from the diameter of the tank, which makes it the first point of contact if you tip your device over or you just lay it down on a table. So be very careful if you do plan on using this bubble glass because that is the first thing that's going to break about this device. So this is the F1 coil that supposedly has a quote-unquote liquid guiding element, which appears to me like a little kind of piece that fits right there. You can see the little tiny circle, and it just kind of guides the juice towards the coil, I suppose. Not exactly sure how that works whatsoever, but hey, that's their thing. And it also contains 70% cotton, 30% wood pulp, which I really can't taste any sort of major difference there. But these coils, I mean, this one's about 2 weeks old and it's still going pretty strong. I know it looks a little bit gunky as far as the cotton is concerned, but you can still see a little bit of shine on those coils, which is definitely a good sign there. So yeah, this one's going pretty strong for me. So nothing super duper special about this bottom airflow control section other than the fact that it has 3 airflow slots and the airflow itself is very smooth. No complaints about that at all. And it is, of course, fully adjustable, fully opened, and fully closed, and there's absolutely nothing written on the bottom section there. No markings of any kind, which is kind of rare and unique. And there you can see the gold-plated 510 connection. So that's about it for the close-ups on this Falcon tank. Let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the close-up section of this video. Now let's talk about my personal thoughts about this device, some pros, some cons, and whether or not it's worth purchasing. Starting off with the pros, my first pro is the bubble glass. I absolutely love the fact that this thing holds 7 mils of juice with this bubble glass because that makes it so I only have to fill my tank maybe once a day, and that's pretty darn impressive. You know, I do rotate other devices as well, but 7 mils on this tank will last you quite some time, and as far as being road trip worthy, this thing definitely fits the bill for that. My second pro for this one is the flavor that I get from these M1 coils. They are absolutely fantastic. These mesh coils in here are not only long lasting, but the flavor itself is fantastic. I get a very true, accurate flavor to what I want, and I get really nice notes out of my fruit flavors, which is really what I'm looking for. Honestly, certain coils tend to react better for dessert vapes, and certain coils react better with fruit vapes. I feel like this one here, for the type of vapor that I am, which is mostly fruity flavors, is absolutely spot on. My third pro today is that the coils that you get with this thing last me about 2 to 3 times longer than a typical coil. Now, I kind of feel like that has a lot to do with their wicking material, and a lot of times that's my #1 complaint when it comes to pre-made coil tanks. That's why I tend to not use them, and I prefer to just use an RTA if I'm going to tank at all. But with that, the cotton that they use inside these coils and all of their other crazy wicking materials that they're using, the wood pulp and flax paper and all that stuff, I feel like is paying off because they do last me quite some time. Mesh coils last me about 2 to 3 weeks, and the other coils last me about 2 weeks, which is pretty darn impressive. And my fourth and final pro for this device is the airflow. You get a nice smooth draw off of this one, and that's one reason I love the triple airflow system, because it just kind of comes in at 3 different angles and just kind of meets in the middle and gives you that really nice full lung feeling without, you know, being too loose or too tight. I rock this thing wide open all the time, and it's just right where I like it to be. It's also not the loudest tank in the world. It's not the quietest, but, you know, kind of right there hovering in the middle, maybe a little bit better than average. But yeah, just overall, this airflow is really great. All right, guys, so moving on to the cons. My first con is that it leaks like crazy if you miss a thread. So make sure your top cap is on there nice and square and flush, because I've done this numerous times where it feels nice and snug on there tight, and I have a couple of vapes on it, and next thing I know, my hand is covered in e-liquid and it just gets really super messy. So it's only about a quarter turn to begin with. So with that, it kind of feels like it's snugged up, but in actuality, it's on there a little bit crooked, and that means you have an air gap in there. So it just kind of throws off the whole pressure system. And long story short, you're going to end up with a huge mess if you don't really pay attention and make sure that top cap is on there nice and square and flush. My second con for this one is that it also leaks if you let this thing sit with juice in the tank for an extended period of time. Now, I'm not talking about a couple of hours or overnight or anything like that, but if you let it sit for a couple of days in a row without vaping on it, then when you go to pick it up the next time and tip it, it's going to have juice coming out those airflow holes, which is really kind of unfortunate because, you know, I feel like that's a trend with a lot of these bubble glass style pre-made coil sub-tanks out there, because I just feel like every single one that I own, every time I pick it up without vaping on it for a couple of days, it leaks all over the place. And my third con today is that the screw-off top fill method for this thing is just a little bit old school and dated. I really wish they just went with a slide open top fill, because that way it keeps everything nice and neat. You don't have to worry about taking your top cap off and putting it to the side where it could get lost or dirty or broken. Besides that, it's only a quarter turn thread for this top cap to come off, so if this thing is a little bit loose in your pocket or your bag or something like that, it can potentially come off and just leak juice everywhere. All right, guys, so is this device worth purchasing? Would I go out of my way to pick one of these up if I didn't get this one in for a review? I'm going to say yes to this one. In fact, this is one of my favorite tanks that I've used all year long. Now, granted, I don't use sub-ohm tanks all the time, but sometimes I get a little bit lazy. I don't feel like rewicking or rebuilding, and I'll just pop a new coil in a tank and just fill it with the juice that I want to vape and just vape my face off. So yeah, this thing is really good flavor-wise, vapor production, just it ticks all the boxes for me personally, and I do recommend you guys try one out for yourself. So I'll leave a link right down there in the description below if you guys want to pick one up. But that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget to click that notification bell right next to the subscribe button if you want to be alerted whenever I upload videos. Also, leave me some comments in the box below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this Falcon tank or anything else you guys want to discuss down there. Check out the advocacy and my social media links right down there in the description below. You can also sign up for my Patreon if you're feeling generous and give me a couple of bucks a month. And if you don't want to sign up monthly, you can also donate to my paypal.me right down there in the description below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, vape on. Ah.